The historical fiction novel that I read was called Between Shades of Grey. One night in a beautiful home in Lithuania, Soviet soldiers took the Vilkas family. Throughout the story, you follow a 15-year-old girl named Lina as she draws her journey to a labor camp. Her 10-year-old brother Jonas and her mother Elena fight to survive the NKVD's horrible treatment. Lina desperately fights for her life and the lives of those around her. But will love be enough to keep her alive? Taking place in 1941, in the middle of World War II, Lina and her family are ripped from their home and belongings. Her family is shoved into a cattle car, along with many others that'll soon become her friends. For months, Lina is trapped in the tight quarters of the car, rebreathing the awful scent of body odors. There is a hole in the corner of the car for relief purposes. They were fed gray slop for pigs and 2 buckets of water, roughly about every day. Everyone was miserable. Everyone was starving. Lina kept her hope alive by remembering her past with her father and her cousin Joanna. By the time they met their destination, they were put into a field. They were filthy. Lice spit at their scalps, and of course, they were starving. Their stomachs were eating themselves. Each group of people from the different cattle cars were slowly bought by other people as slaves. Lina passed along a drawing of hers in hope it would reach her father. Lina's group was sent to a labor camp in Siberia to dig beets. She and her mother and brother were forced to live in a shack for a home with a seemingly heartless roommate, Yukishka. For several more months throughout the blistering winter and the heated summer, Lina worked for the NKVD, hating every single minute of it. She learned to survive by stealing wood or food from the Soviet homes, and drawed at night, filling up the pages of her sketchbook with things she had seen throughout her stay, like a beaten woman. Passing along some drawings in high hopes it would reach her father. But in the end, in the horrible place they are at, it seems life is not important to anyone. They protect their own. Have you ever wondered what human life is worth? That morning, my brother's was worth a pocket watch. Now, what if this took place in a modern time? If it happened today, some things would be very different. When someone is taken, a bunch of curious questions would pop up by neighbors or friends. And the secret police, the Soviet soldiers, wouldn't be able to answer them. And then people would start speaking up for the people being taken. That's how life is these days. People speak up for others now. And then the kindness that was shown by other people to Lina's family would probably not happen. Human cruelty comes out at the worst times. So instead of sharing the food that they did have, they would just eat it themselves right in front of the starving children. The drawings that Lina passed on in hopes that they would reach her father, these days probably wouldn't be passed on. There are so many artists out there that their artwork is usually taken for granted. Artwork on a napkin wouldn't be seen as beautiful these days because it's so many of it. The drawings would either be discarded or kept because the person thought they were pretty and didn't want to pass them on. While Lina was at the labor camp, for several days, the NKVD would lock them in a hall and order them to sign a document, to sign their lives away for 25 years of labor. If that happened today, so many people would fight back. No one wants to give up their freedom, even if a gun was pointed to their heads. And if Lina ever escaped the labor camp, she would most likely be publicized for not only her drawings, but her story of going throughout this journey, this horrible journey she was put through. Those are some things that would change if that happened today, in modern time, instead of during World War II.